In tonight's headlines, Hong Kong endures its coldest March day in 14 years. Paul Chen defends the scrapping of stamp duties, but warns cooling measures could return if the property market heats up again. And children break the code to add a splash of color to Victoria Park.
The road to Tai Mo Shan was extremely foggy before dawn this morning. At 4 a.m., our reporter's thermometer recorded a temperature of 3.8 degrees Celsius at the top of the city's highest mountain. The chilly weather attracted a group of enthusiasts who make it a habit to trek up the mountain to watch the sun rise when the mercury dips. Even though Tai Mo Shan recorded a minimum temperature of 0.7 degrees, this hiker said it wasn't that cold. The minimum temperature in Central was 9.5 degrees, while it was just 0.1 degrees higher at the observatory's headquarters in Tsim Sha Tsui, making today the coldest day in March since 2010.
The cold weather this morning was due to the influence of the northeast monsoon and a broad band of rain and clouds, and so temperatures have been falling progressively in the past couple of days. And in fact, the observatory has issued the cold weather warning since Thursday afternoon. The minimum temperature tomorrow morning will be about 13 degrees in the urban areas. It will still be cold, with generally a couple of degrees lower in the New Territories. And the maximum temperature will be around 18 degrees tomorrow.
The observatory expects the mercury to rise progressively in the coming week. Maisie Mock, Cable News.
Financial Secretary Paul Chen has defended the decision to scrap all special stamp duties for property sales over a decade after they were introduced. He told a radio show that some Western countries, led by the United States, had been bad-mouthing Hong Kong, and this affected market sentiment and capital flow. He said when the so-called spicy measures were rolled out to crack down on speculation, over 25% of home buyers were non-locals. Chen said the cooling measures were necessary to give Hong Kongers a chance to get on the housing ladder. There should not be worries about supply, he said, as 110,000 new homes are set to be on the market in the coming 3 to 4 years. Chen said that if the real estate sector turns red hot again, the government can make adjustments accordingly. These include implementing a vacant property tax. We hope the market can develop steadily and healthily, Chen told listeners. Chen also said feasibility studies will determine when the Kau Yi Chau project will resume. Earlier, he said the plan would be delayed by 2 to 3 years. Chen emphasized that the postponement will not have a major impact on land supply. Speaking in another radio program, the minister brushed off concerns that the possibility of failed land tenders would affect housing supply. The government will insist on creating land no matter what, as there are always ups and downs in the market, Chen said. Janice Low, Cable News.
8 people, including TV actor Joseph Ng, have been given jail terms of up to 3 years and 9 months. The defendants, aged between 26 and 29, were convicted in connection with the protests in Central in November 2019 and for covering their faces to prevent being identified during an illegal assembly. Deputy District Judge Pang Lan Ting said it was hard to believe their claim that they were only standing and chanting slogans when protest-related items such as saline to counter the effects of tear gas and masks were seized from them when they were arrested. It is reasonable to draw a conclusion that they indirectly participated in the riot by supplying materials to frontline protesters who clashed with police, Pang added. He said on that occasion, thousands of protesters blocked Peather Street and Defu Road Central through petrol bombs and damaged traffic lights and buses, paralyzing the city's core business district. The starting point for the prison term was 4 years, and Pang decided to deduct 3 months as the defendants waited 4 years for trial and their chances of committing the crime again are low. 5 people, including Ng the actor, who had pleaded not guilty, were sentenced to 3 years and 9 months in jail. The other 3 who had admitted the offense were given jail terms of 2 years and 9 months each. Maisie Mock, Cable News. Labor Minister Chris Sun says his department will help 120 workers who were laid off after a contractor went into liquidation. Fong Chen Key Construction Company collapsed after 44 years in business. Sun said the Labor Department has set up a hotline to assist the workers to receive financial compensation. The contractor owed scaffolders, mechanics, and painters up to 3 months in wages, according to Construction Industry Employees General Union. The union also says that subcontractors are seeking up to $60 million for their work.
The $6 billion allocated in the latest financial blueprint to set up life and health technology research institutes is expected to give the sector a boost. Speaking on a radio program, Innovation Minister Sun Dong said in the past when resources were not centralized, many outstanding scientists gave Hong Kong a miss. But he hopes the institutes will now be able to recruit top global talent. Sun pointed out that many overseas life and technology enterprises aim to set up base in Hong Kong, as the city's clinical data record is recognized internationally, which is helpful for them when researching new drugs. Hong Kong also serves as a gateway to the mainland, he added. Security has been tightened in Beijing ahead of the annual 2 sessions next week. Roads have been cordoned off outside the Great Hall of the People. All journalists covering the event are required to undergo COVID tests. The top advisory body, the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, will open its meeting on Monday, followed a day later by the National People's Congress. Chief Executive John Lee will head off to Beijing on Monday to attend the NPC session. As a Jordanian plane flew over northern Gaza and dropped food, starving Palestinians on the ground rushed to look for the packages. This came amid growing international calls for an independent investigation into the deaths of over 100 Palestinians as they tried to grab supplies from an aid convoy in another part of Gaza 2 days ago. United Nations officials visited hospitals and saw that many of the hundreds injured in the tragedy suffered gunshot wounds. Witnesses and survivors accused Israeli troops and tanks of opening fire on the desperate group. Israel denied the allegation. With food in short supply, starvation is becoming a killer.
There was a 10th child officially registered in a hospital as having starved to death. A very sad threshold, similar sad as the 30,000 deaths we reached all over Gaza. People are so desperate for food, for fresh water, for any supplies, that they risk their lives in getting any food, any supplies to support their children, to support themselves. This is the real drama. This is the real catastrophe here. That food and supplies are so scarce that we see these situations coming up. And the food supplies have been cut off deliberately.
After winning a parliamentary by-election in Britain, a political maverick sent a message to the opposition leader.
Keir Starmer, this is for Gaza. You have paid and you will pay a high price for the role that you have played in enabling, encouraging, and covering for the catastrophe presently going on in occupied Palestine in the Gaza Strip.
Starmer has alienated many members of his own Labour Party for not taking a stronger stance to end the bloodshed in Gaza. Galloway, who was a former Labour MP, easily defeated his rivals to win the election in Rochdale by a large majority. He said support for the Palestinian cause is growing in his new constituency and across Britain.
Over 1,100 students from 38 schools braved the cold together at Victoria Park this morning. As the Hong Kong Flower Show will be staged at the site in the middle of this month, they were on a special mission to decorate a spectacular flower display named the Candy House for the event. While it was the first time for them to join such an activity, it was not a problem because there were hundreds of volunteers to guide them. The pâtés in the shape of a bear, cake, and candy house consisted of 44,000 flowers and plants, including lavender, chrysanthemums, and carnations. This group of secondary students was among those who helped to decorate the display. Each of us put dozens of flowers in the display, this boy said. This volunteer praised secondary students for doing a great job, as they were able to come up with certain kinds of patterns to include in the display. As for younger students, we were aiming to provide them with a sense of enjoyment, she added. Janice Low, Cable News.